was acceptable. I thought I could make up the difference. I thought everything in this situation with all three wives.
They'll never say this to you, but beneath the polished grins and perfect family facade, there was a great schism, one no one ever spoke of. What if I were to tell you the ideal sister-wife relationship was never actually real at all, that one wife's kids were kept deliberately in the background and no one ever challenged it out loud? Let's peel back the curtain. This isn't just family drama. This is calculated silence, unspoken favoritism, and emotional fallout. Hey friends, imagine this, the infamous couch scene. Christine, Robyn, Cody, and the others all gathered the tension so heavy it could snap. Christine leans in her tone, steady but loaded. I can't remember a time ever when Cody left Robyn's house to come help get my kids off to school. She doesn't scream. She doesn't have to. The truth hurts more than any claim. It's disgusting. She continues. He'd leave my house to get to her kids to get them ready. Never once did he do the same with mine. She then turns composed but firm to Robyn. Why? Didn't you want my help with your children? Isn't that what sister wives do? Robyn's response, classic deflection, wide eyes, pointed tone. Really, now we're having this, Robyn? All right, deflect the question and play victim. And Cody? He casts down his eyes, refusing to look anyone in the eye, like he expects the floor to open up and swallow him whole. But the question remains, why didn't Christine ask Cody this instead? Because deep down, they all knew some topics were not to be discussed particularly. If it was about questioning Robyn, she was not to be touched. The sacred cow guarded at all costs the double standard. It's tiring. Christine, Janelle, and Mary were repeatedly told by Cody how horribly they treated Robyn. But did he ever sit Robyn down and explain to her how she alienated herself, how she wouldn't accept help? Of course, not the entire family professed unity, teamwork, co-parenting, that sister wives should bring up the kids together. But when Christine volunteered to assist, Robyn slammed the door. Then there's Robyn's go-to complaint that her children weren't fully accepted, that they didn't feel they were part of the group. But how could they be if she isolated them? Her justification, they needed protection from what? The other children, too unruly. If that was really an issue, it could have been dealt with before Robyn was even brought into the family, not just glossed over in favor of romantic vacations and sugar-coated nothings. The irony is savage, Robyn claims. Her kids were isolated, but she was the one isolating them. Recall the story. Robyn supposedly didn't trust Gwen, an adult alone with her son, because of a few decorative knives in the room. Christine brought it up during a couch interview, referencing some old personality test that defined Robyn as someone who lived for drama. Robyn wiped Mog tears and whispered, I'm not being dramatic, but we saw it, the performance poorly disguised, the manipulation nearly elegant, and Christine, she was penalized. For telling the truth off camera, Cody probably scolded her, took things away, perhaps insisted on an apology to Robyn. That was how it always went down. Say something negative about Robyn and there would be punishment. Because in this family, Robyn never had to play by the same rules, and Cody ensured that no one ever called her out. This wasn't some passing fight or misinterpreted moment. This was a glimpse, a rare glimpse behind the stage curtain of one big, happy family. Robyn didn't want the dream, at least not in the way that Cody envisioned. No joint effort, no joint burden, and Cody, he stood by and watched, and then stood by and watched some more. You've likely heard it before, Robyn speaks Cody, but have you ever taken a moment to wonder what that actually means? Spoiler alert. It is not a sweet inside joke. It's the most transparent view into how control, manipulation, and emotional dependency show up in this so-called plural marriage. Let's break down what speaking Cody means and why it says more about their power dynamic than anyone cares to admit. There was a time, one among several, when Christine uttered it aloud. She tells my kids, "Come on over, Robyn can speak Cody." Like, what does that even mean? Robyn demands to be the one in the relationship to interpret Cody, that she knows him in ways no one else does. But Christine cuts it down to size perfectly. I don't think I need a translator. We were married for years. Before you showed up, I believe I speak Cody. Just great. But Robyn keeps returning to the very same line. I speak Cody. She's uttered it so often. It's almost her tagline. Here's the real deal, what it really is this Robyn listens to the unfiltered torrent of garbage that Cody does go on and on about, filters it through her own perspective, reworks it, and then spouts it right back at him. And what does Cody do? He nods and says, yeah, that's exactly what I meant. It's not that Robyn gets him. It's that she explains to him what he is trying to say, and he buys into it because it's convenient she does the rewrite and he signs off without having read it. And that's what makes this so tragic. Cody is hardly even a shadow of the man he was. He's nervous, insecure, treading on eggshells. He resembles someone who's always going out of his way, not to offend Robyn. She's his kryptonite, and it's apparent. So when Christine and Janelle tell us they're no longer interested in him, it's not a matter of looks, it's that he isn't the same man. There was even a point where Robyn cut him off and more or less instructed him to shut up until he had his head together, which of course meant until he began repeating what she wanted to hear when Mary pushed back against that, and made it known she knew what Cody meant without Robyn putting words in his mouth. It shook the entire moment because it broke Robyn's hold on the story, particularly concerning delicate issues such as financial schemes or wills, where she absolutely did not want Cody blurting out the truth. Robyn is allowed to get away with things the others never were. She represents herself as speaking for Cody, but she's actually speaking as him, and because it makes Cody feel so much better to always have someone in his corner, even a conditional one. He lets her Christine put it best. My kids are like, he's our dad, we don't need you to speak Cody. Hey, and honestly, yeah, that bugs me. I speak Cody, and Cody can speak for himself. He's a grown-ass man. But is he really, or has he totally relinquished control for years? There's been a pattern, Robyn says, let me speak with the wives, I can do it better. These conversations always take place behind closed doors. Why? Because managing Cody is her job. She doesn't work outside the home, but supporting Cody, taking for him, and performing damage control. That's a career Cody constantly complains that he's overwhelmed, tired of the blame, exhausted by the pressure of decision-making. Robyn steps in, takes that role from him, and gives him relief. Even if others continue to finger point at Cody, he gets to emotionally offload blame because, hey, that was Robyn's decision. She allows him to sidestep taking anything while still playing the martyr and hero for her. And when Cody claims, I don't have a head wife, but then allows Robyn to hijack every conversation, interrupt him mid-sentence, and correct him in front of others, come on. The reality is clear. None of the other wives ever addressed him like that, and if they did, he wouldn't have stood for it. But Robyn does it all the time. She inserts herself into every big decision, every group interaction, as if she's the emotional translator for everybody. Half counselor, half handler, half enabler. And the best part, we hardly ever see how they live their daily lives. The show provides us with sanitized confessionals, scripted holiday scenes, or scripted ear-piercing why. Because if we were actually privy to how Robyn and Cody treat each other behind closed doors, the power dynamic would be obvious. Robyn is his gatekeeper, controlling when and how Cody engages with anyone else. She faints, simply passing along messages, but she writes them. Cody enjoys the possible deniability. Robyn enjoys the control, and the rest of us are left wondering who's actually in charge. She plays Cody better than any of the other wives ever could, but does she love him, or does she just love being the only one? In the room who holds the script for years, viewers have heard the phrase, Robyn can speak Cody.
I was in love with the idea of him. We really did start to know each other better after we were married. I do think I loved him as much as I could.
But what does that really mean on the surface? It's presented as if Robyn gets Cody on a deeper level, but go a little deeper, and it's obvious it's not communication. It's control. Robyn says she translates Cody's thoughts, even explaining to her own children that she can get their father better than he knows himself. This isn't empathy, it's manipulation. She translates Cody's words through her eyes, then gives back to him what she wants him to hear. And since it feels great to always be heard, Cody buys it every single time. Cody Brown once was an emotional man. He wept over family pets, attempted to obey his wives, and tolerated the insanity of large family life. Now he's a shadow of that man. Emotionally detached, defensive, defeated. Robyn didn't join the family. She rewired it, while the other wives arrived with practical needs and expectations. Robyn introduced him to something else. The fantasy of heroism, she was the damsel and he was her knight. It was heady for him and stifling for everyone else. Robyn's power extends far beyond manipulation on an emotional level. She's Cody's gatekeeper, his personal assistant, his spokesperson. His decision-maker Cody complains in perpetuity about being the bearer of responsibility, but with Robyn holding the reins, he's been able to pass it all along. She controls what is said, and when it is said, Cody puts on the innocent act, I didn't mean it like that. But it's Robyn who has prepped the message beforehand. Let's be real here, had any one of the initial 3 wives talked back to Cody the way Robyn does, interrupting him, correcting him, they'd have been told to shut up. Flat out. But Robyn, she gets away with everything. We hardly ever get to see genuine, unedited exchanges between Cody and Robyn. What we do catch are contrived scenes, ear piercings, holiday picture-taking, scripted talking heads. Why? Because revealing their true relationship, the power dynamic, the control, the dependence would reveal too much. Robyn doesn't work in the classical sense, but keeping Cody in line, that is her work. She's always steering, twirling, translating, and shielding him from the fallout of his own decisions, and he rewards her for it. Even when Cody gets chewed out, he feels better, knowing Robyn is defending him. That devotion has a high price tag. His independence, his manhood, his bond with the other children, the warning signs were apparent from the beginning. Robyn insinuated herself into Cody and Mary's counseling, long before she was a member of the family. She pushed boundaries, gained favor, and emotionally isolated Cody from his other wives even when Christine was pregnant. Robyn was not very sympathetic. Rather than giving up, she became more entrenched in her courtship, taking up all of Cody's time and energy. While Christine was getting ready to have a baby, Cody was out with Robyn shopping for wedding dresses. That wasn't selfish, it was cruel. Cody and Robyn say they found their peace, but at what expense? They've created a bubble in which only their truth reigns supreme, where denial and manipulation are standard. Whether Cody is really in love or merely addicted to the convenience Robyn provides, one thing is certain: it's not an equal partnership, it's an illusion. And what about the rest of the family? It is a narrative of abandonment, neglect, and broken trust. Cody would have done anything for Robyn. If she asked him to wait until her future sister-wife gave birth before moving on, he would have, but Robyn, she just didn't care. Right from the start, Robyn demonstrated who the real selfish sister-wife was. Even before she was technically a part of the family, she was already testing limits and treating the household like it was hers. She and Cody, they needed each other. Robyn says their romance took nearly a year, a decade in polygamous speak, but in fact she left her children with her mother and hardly made use of that time to acclimate into Cody's family. If she actually needed to be a member of this family, she would have spent those months building bridges, establishing trust, and bonding with the other wives. Instead, she kept herself and her kids at arm's length. If you can't trust the other mothers to babysit your children on a honeymoon with their father, then that's a big red flag that perhaps this family arrangement isn't healthy for you in this life. Wives tend to be okay with sharing time, affection, resources, but Robyn never wanted that for her children. Why? Because if her kids came near the other mothers, they'd begin to doubt the lies that Sohan and Kotex had spun them. Robyn's entire plan was control-making. Her kids think the rest of the family despised them and that only she could love and keep them safe. She was possessive and jealous, not allowing her children to call another woman mom. Her method of parenting was at odds with the others and led to long-term issues, leaving the children with her parents for 11 days during the wedding and honeymoon phase wasn't only inconvenient, it was disruptive. The children had never been away from Robyn for such an extended period or experience the madness of the large family home. They just endured the stress of having a wedding, discovered a new dad, Cody, and now we're going to have to get used to their mom being away for a period of time. Leaving at this point wasn't what was best for the kids. It was what was best for Robyn's comfort zone of distance and control. If she didn't want her children in the large family setting, she shouldn't have went into it. The family relocated into individual homes in Vegas after the wedding. Robyn always had a home and has kept her children separated from the others. Maybe if she'd taken the courtship time to acclimate her kids into the other wives, things would have been different. Sleepovers, playdates, shared activities might have established some bond. But Robyn preferred separation, isolation, and exclusivity. Instead, the honeymoon was not only poorly timed, it was cruel. Christine was pregnant during the romance, and by the time of the wedding, her baby truly was just 6 weeks old, Cody. And Robyn's honeymoon occurred when Christine was recuperating and getting used to new motherhood. Would Robyn ever allow Cody to leave for 11 days when she was 8 or 9 months pregnant? Extremely unlikely, however, when Cody justifies their honeymoon as something they earned. It's a slap in the face to the rest of the family. Robyn loved truly dearly, but her behavior illustrated the absence of empathy and respect for the other wives. Emotional realities, she kept her own desires, her children's separation and her domination first, while promoting any actual family unity, and that selfishness damaged what could have been a healthy, supportive, plural family. Truly cannot recall a time when Robyn wasn't a part of the family. which ironically highlights Robyn's lack of self-awareness. She ought to have thought about the emotional welfare of her children. A 3-day honeymoon would have been a better option considering the situation, little children, a second and fourth marriage, already established, and the necessity of bringing about family harmony. Robyn insisted that the family culture must adapt to what she likes, instead of trying to blend into the established way of life. Leaving the children with their grandmother was probably done out of their best interest, less concerning how Scene or other sister wives felt. But Robyn's general emotional maturity is suspect. Sometimes she's an 8th grade mean girl, selfish, possessive, and generally unpleasant to be around. This drama in this family is powered by the cult ideology and the pressure cooker of polygamy. Christine got married to Cody while Janelle was expecting. Janelle even attempted to plan her wedding on Mary's birthday, but was persuaded to change it. Christine mentioned to Mary when she was 4 months pregnant that she hoped Mary wasn't pregnant so that it wouldn't rob her own marriage of excitement. These women frequently belittled and were mean to each other because of the strict patriarchal society in which they lived. Christine is truthful in her emotions, but owns up to the fact that some things should remain unspoken in polygamy. Neither wife ever receives sufficient attention from the husband. This lack of attention generates ongoing competition in order to please him and stroke his ego. Every wife attempts to make her house the best it can be. For Cody, cute, relaxed, and drama-y, but suppressing feelings in this way only creates resentment. The whole thing pushes these women into unhealthy habits. Mean or selfish remarks are routinely accepted with a shrug because it's become normalized. The tell-all segments bring out ugly truths, such as Cody's evident dislike of Christine. Robyn specifically did not step up during Christine's troubled pregnancy. Christine wound up doing the work and paying for items that arguably were everyone's responsibility. Typical narcissism in play. Robyn's children were watched by a nanny, not the family, setting a tone of separation. Early on, she didn't want to integrate or trust the other wives instead of building bridges. Robyn spent time crying and playing the victim. Yes, the blame is shared across the family for the hurt, but Robyn's arrogance is impossible to ignore. She didn't mind kissing a married man, Cody, while engaged. She did all of these. Even when Christine was giving birth, she withheld secrets from the other wives because she understood what she was doing was wrong. She stole Cody away from the family for several months. When they were courting, she was entitled and selfish. Robyn spent 11 days on her honeymoon while Truly was only a new baby, and then she expected Cody to not be around other children during a surgical procedure. This inconsistency is revealing everything she says about how Truly never knew a time without her is honestly an insult to Christine. Robyn and Cody ought to have respected and patiently waited for Christine's plight. For all the meanness, Robyn had the nerve to look forward to Christine's friendship and Cody demanding it. Robyn is self-centered, but Cody also might have established better boundaries. The hormones and feelings at play do account for some of what happened, but it does not justify it. Robyn was the obvious force pushing the family's draconian coronavirus policies, whereas Cody wanted to be liberal and proposed bonfires with all. Robyn demanded strict compliance with the rules, probably to remain in the good books of the patriarch of the family and stay in charge. In addition, Christine has been on the move and mingling, but Robyn and her children have been confined virtual prisoners to the regime. They consented to the dysfunction of the family is the result of a rotten patriarchal, polygamous regime under which jealousy, control, and suspicion are the order of the day. Robyn's narcissism and insistence on not integrating only made the cracks worse, if anything. This family's tale is a warning about the emotional toll of such rigid competitive family dynamics and the necessity for empathy, boundaries, and honest communication. To men, Cody too tended to come off as ambivalent about many family interactions, so Robyn was left with the task of implementing strict coronavirus rules. He spent most of the time at her home rationalizing that he was trying to protect his family, particularly the young children. But in practice, this arrangement fostered discord and confusion rather than harmony. The entire thing stinks. Of favoritism, Cody constantly deferred to Robyn's choices on major family activities such as Christmas bonfires and outings, but insisted that these were his rules. When other members of the family pointed out the inconsistencies, he demanded apologies. Typical gaslighting. Rather than conceding that he and Robyn had lied and were playing favorites, Cody decided to divide the family and prop up Robyn's controlling behavior. The collapse of the family was greatly because of Cody's favoritism and refusal to own up. The other wives yearned for unity, but Robyn's nervous refusal, supported by Cody, shut down meetings and overtures towards compromise. Robyn's accusations of the others not wanting to compromise neatly overlook her own contribution. Had there been real honesty and compromise willingness, more unity would have been achievable. This perfectly captures why plural marriage did not work for them. Marriage is about giving preference to a partner, while polygamy means equal treatment. Once Cody married Robyn, favoritism was obvious. He asked the other wives to sacrifice their children for loyalty, but would not return the favor rather than acknowledge favoritism. He made appearances and insisted on praise the favoritism was not new, but it became more apparent during the pandemic when Cody and Robyn used coronavirus rules as a pretext to further insulate the family. Mary said she was ignored with little interaction from Robyn. Particularly in later years, one wife stated, "It wasn't my first Christmas without everybody else, but it was my first Christmas without Mary." Cody has adopted a patriarchal worldview that values loyalty over love, at the risk of isolation and loneliness. Robyn seems caught up in anxiety and control, but her anxiety is disproportionately and theatrically expressed, used as a weapon to control and keep Cody loyal. This isn't real anxiety, but a control tactic. Robyn never really wanted plural marriage, but needed it as a path to celebrity and wealth status. Her protocols changed to meet her own needs, and Cody used those protocols to call the other wives mean when they complained of favoritism. For anyone who knows real anxiety, Robyn's actions are insulting. Her tears ring hollow, more of a manipulative strategy than a genuine emotional one. In the end, Cody probably encouraged and enabled Robyn's protocols, further isolating the other wives and widening family cracks. This is a prime example of how favoritism, manipulation, and unaccountability can contaminate polygamous families, particularly when emotional control is employed as a weapon and honest communication is lacking. Cody and Robyn's pandemic protocols. They weren't about safety, they were about control. These so-called rules were tests of loyalty under Robyn's leadership. Mary, who adhered to all of the policies, was still not allowed in evidence that it wasn't about rules, but about whom Robyn and Cody considered worthy. As one child summarized, "We're starting to pit ourselves against Dad because it's on Dad who made up these rules, who didn't communicate." With the family, it was Cody, and Cody let Robyn dictate the terms. Robyn played to Cody's ego, gained favor, and positioned herself as his anchor, while the other wives, strong and independent, were slowly cast out over the years. We've seen this pattern. Robyn correcting Cody, changing his mind, her anxiety weaponized to avoid accountability. When Cody enforcing rules he didn't even believe in, because Robyn wanted them. The bonfire scene clear as day. Cody didn't care about the protocols. Robyn insisted on them, control pure and simple. And the hypocrisy, Robyn kept the other wives out but trusted outside nannies. She went to public places unmasked and unvaccinated while sequestering Christine's and Janelle's children. Even Mary, who passed every test of loyalty, was barred. The adult children weren't fooled. They knew Robyn's control, not concern motivating their father's choices. Cody, caught in lies and too proud to admit fault, lashed out instead of facing the truth. Robyn's manipulative language, her scripted tears, her constant anxiety, all tools to keep Cody dependent and isolated from others. Whether the protocols were Robyn's idea or Cody's, it doesn't matter anymore. A good father would have looked into his children's eyes and known something was wrong. Instead, Cody demanded apologies from the very children his actions hurt. Robyn's loyalty test drove a wedge. Christine and Janelle failed the test and were pushed away. Mary passed but was still rejected. Even Cody's supposed COVID illness felt exaggerated, almost theatrical, used to justify his choices and gain sympathy. Let's not forget the constant moving, the disconnection, the emotional isolation that made it even harder for anyone to leave. This wasn't safety. This was a power play, a way to keep control, to silence dissent, to keep Cody and exclude everybody else at the end.